Hey, you might notice I'm somewhere a little different. I just moved like 2 weeks ago, which is why there's been no videos up. Ow, that sun. The sun is so bright. My studio is not cute right now, it's a disaster. But this is our new house, we just moved in, and as soon as we got in, the world kind of imploded a little. It's a little different, it's a little unnerving, but I've been seeing a little up spike in my painting tutorial videos, so people have been staying inside and trying to paint a little bit to distract them from everything. So I thought I'd put out a new tutorial video while everyone's kind of stuck in their houses right now on something that's fairly easy, but like calming and cute. I painted it in my sketchbook a little while ago. Let me just find it. It is not a super crazy difficult painting, medium beginner, but I think you're gonna be able to do it. It's gonna be acrylics, a sweet calming painting to put up in your house if you're losing your mind a little bit right now, like I am. So let's give it a shot. Let's go try it. Okay, let's get started painting. It looks like I'm pregnant, but there's really just a puppy in there. There she is. We're gonna get started. So let's look at our materials real quick. We've got an array of brushes. We're just gonna choose them as we go along because that's how I like to do things. I like to just choose whatever brush I want in the moment. We've got something to paint on. I'm just gonna use this little plate right here. This is an artist panel by Arteza, whatever the hell her name is. We have a little bit of water here. We have some paper towels. We're also gonna need our reference photo. Where is it? There it is. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this right now and look at it while we're painting, or you can just follow along with what I'm doing, whatever you feel like. So the colors I'm gonna be using are titanium white, cyan blue, quinacridone red, yellow medium azo. Just use what you can. Just basically have a red, a yellow, a blue, and a white, and that'll get you wherever you need to go for this piece. It's gonna be totally good. So what we're gonna do is start with creating this gradient. We're gonna work on some acrylic blending, and this is pretty tricky. So I want you to be super patient with yourself when we're working on this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with this light blue, and then over time, we're slowly gonna tweak it and change it into this color. So let's start by mixing that guy up. Get some of that on here. But mostly what we're gonna be using is white. I'm gonna mix up some light blue. So on the color wheel, the opposite color from blue is orange. And what that means is if I add the color orange to my blue, it will mute the color down a little bit, so it's not quite as vibrant. Just like a tiny, tiny little bit. I want just the tiniest smidge. And this is gonna mute it down just like a tiny bit, so it's not quite too vibrant and just makes it a little more realistic. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. You might not even notice the difference. Because I'm doing a big painting here, I'm gonna have to use a pretty big brush. I'm gonna get a little bit of water going in here, and I'm gonna start applying this. Actually, like real quick, I wanna just really quickly put my horizon line in here. I just want something to give me an idea of where the water is gonna meet the sky. To create a little bit of a blend, we're gonna add a little more white to our blue, just a little. And we're gonna start, while this is still wet, mixing in our lighter blue color with the same dirty brush, and we can pull it up a little bit and drag it across. It's gonna be pretty subtle, but then I'm gonna add more white and get that going on there like that. Just like that. I'm gonna wipe this off real quick. I'm gonna go in with just some pure white there. I'm blending this out real quick while it's still wet. Just blending that like this. I am gonna give my brush a little wash in our water here. And then I'm gonna mix up let's take this. It's kind of a weird green right now. It's a little bit of this light blue mixed with a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. Add a little. This is just our little transition color. It looks like puke. Do not be concerned. I know this is a very scary color to be adding, but this is a big part of blending, is finding those in-between colors. There we go. All right, and now that we've done that, we can start moving toward yellow. We still have some of that weird green in there, but now we're moving to yellow. And a little bit of that red. And there we go. See what's happening now? Does that make more sense? That puke color is not quite so scary now that we go into this yellow. The trick to blending with acrylics I've found is making sure you're moving pretty quickly. And it can be tricky, especially if you're not super used to color mixing. So I just add a little bit of water to that, and now I'm blending this up. Now we're going for a much orangier color, leaning more towards like pinkish. Wow, that is too red, so we're gonna add white to that. We want a color in the water that kind of reflects a middle part of the sky. It's gonna be partially blue. I'm taking some of this blue, partially some of that red. It's gonna be kind of a little bit of a weird gray, like a warm gray color. It might look weird at first. Do not stress, this is just a base color for us. Sing hallelujah, come on, get happy. So we want to make some more yellow and orangey tones and more red. So it's more like some of these orangey tones. Just in little places. This is just kind of creating a little bit of water, light reflection texture. If this is dried, that's totally okay if you're just doing this on top. Mine happens to still be a little bit wet. Just a little something right here. Yeah, just like that. Mix some of these together, just like that. Streak on some of these. Very subtle, very simple, and it's just for us to have a little something to work on top of. We're gonna add more color on top of this later, but I just wanna add a little something to what's going on here. So we want to create some of these little waves here. All right, so we're gonna mix up that darker blue, and we're gonna add little bits of yellow. Oh, that's red. I need to go back to preschool apparently. Add a little more of that red and a little more of that yellow. I think I'm gonna go with a smaller brush, but it's a similar angle. So what we're gonna do now is add the shadowed parts of our waves. This is where the light is not really hitting and where the definition of our waves is going to come from. So we're going to start by making these shapes that kind of get thicker and then thin out and have little peaks on them. And we're going to connect some together. So I want you to start at the bottom and then work towards this horizon line here. And as you get closer, your waves are going to start to get smaller. And make them real nice and thin as we move back, just like, almost just like little streaks on our horizon there. So let's get this color in a very light version so we can make some pretty highlights. Tiny little dabs of yellow and tiny little dabs of red, very slowly, until I get to a color that I think I like. I'm putting this on in little streaks that aren't our dark shadowed areas. I'm gonna add a little more yellow to this and some more white as we transition further down. Whoa, that's too yellow, so I'm gonna add a lot more white. I'm gonna take some because I have some left over, and I'm gonna add white to it. Actually, maybe I'm gonna add a little bit of this too, mute it down a smidge. I'm thinking now that I'm seeing this, I think I want to define the darker waves a little bit more. We used red and we used yellow. I really like doing this where I start to darken some of my areas because it creates some like cool layering effects by having lighter areas underneath my darker areas. It makes it like, it's just more transitional places and it adds a lot of cool detail that was unintentional to the piece. But I end up really liking it. This painting's cool because you can just streak on whatever colors you feel like, and it makes it a really neat reflective piece as long as you're pulling in the sky colors into your water. Like wherever you pull your paintbrush across, like it just creates some like really neat things in your painting. Definitely a painting that is dependent on imperfection. Let it be a little bit messy. Let your streaks go wherever. Let it be a little bit chunky. Let it figure itself out. As soon as you start letting go of some of that perfectionism when you're painting this sky, I think you're really gonna enjoy the process and the outcome. We're getting to a good spot here. What I wanna do is add a little bit of more highlight down the center here. I'm gonna take our white and I wanna do a very light orange. Like it's gonna be mostly white in here. That's better. See that? Yeah, let's do that. And I'm just gonna streak this and I'm gonna center it in the middle here. So we're gonna start adding our little sun and have little lights reflecting on the water, which is gonna be so pretty. That's the best part of this painting. We're gonna take a very small brush, something nice and itty bitty so that we have lots of control going on here. We're gonna go in with our pure white right here, I think. I'm gonna add our little sun, keeping it kind of centered in our painting. So now I'm gonna take this same brush and I'm gonna start tapping on these tiny little reflections from the sun onto our water. We're gonna go just in the center, kind of do them in clusters. You can even streak a little bit. Do this at whatever pace you feel comfy at. And kind of start doing like a couple little random dots in places, just where you think maybe a little bit of light might hit. You apply some paint up here just to make sure it's defined really nicely. And there we go. There's our painting. There's our sparkly water sunset painting. That's a fun one. Wow, the light is not doing it justice here, is it? It's a good stress relief thing, getting my mind off stuff that's going on out there. If you want to see the full tutorial of this painting, it's on my Patreon for my $5 Patreon donors. I've got a little library of full-length, real-time tutorials on there if you're interested. That also really helps me out. If you have any other suggestions for things that you'd like to see me paint or do tutorials for, leave it in the comments below. If you had a hard time with this painting, let me know the parts that you had a hard time with. I just want to create these tutorials in a way that is most effectively teachable so that you guys are getting the most out of it when you're painting with me. That's what I want. I really want these to be just an accessible place for you to learn how to make something that makes you feel good. And if it didn't turn out great and you are unhappy with this painting, remember that it takes a long time to get to the place that you want to. You have to paint out all your bad paintings until you get to your good ones. So don't get frustrated, try again. That's the best advice I can give you. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I am sending you all the good vibes I got. It's weird times, but we're gonna be okay, and you're gonna be okay, and I'm here with you. I've got a couple other videos for you to watch if you wanna keep painting. I will see you in the next video.